need to understand who they are in Christ, really. Because that changes everything. That changes your viewpoint when incredible struggles come. It changes your viewpoint when you get scared. It changes your viewpoint on everything when you truly understand it. And I can tell you this: I can count on easily one hand the people that I'm pretty confident they get that.
Right.
And I'm learning it.
Right.
I mean, I'm reading about it, trying to learn. All right, Father, would you please show me, what does that actually mean? What freedoms are really available to me that I'm not experiencing right now, because I just don't understand what the sonship means. And I think that's a big part of what American businessmen are really looking for.
I think it's a big part of the businessman, and we definitely want to be able to connect that. I also really feel a strong calling that those businessmen are showing up, but they're bringing their sons. Because one of the best chapters that in this book that I'm writing, I ask all these guys in class, as you guys know, write a letter to your 16-year-old self. And I ask them to go deep, not because they're apologizing or anything to their 16-year-old self, but my hope is that somewhere in the chapters that we touch on that in the book, that they get through to a 16-year-old. That, because it's so hard to talk to a 16, 17, 18-year-old young man. We all were. Some of them, the thing about prison is your mistakes and the result of them are obvious. In society, when you haven't been put in prison, your mistakes are not quite as obvious. The guy that's scrolling on his phone late at night and starting to slowly withdraw from his wife,
Right.
who's deleting his browser history, all that good stuff, right? And so it's when I always have that there's a freedom that exists in that room, and those guys are going to have to experience it. When they come out, they're going to be overwhelmed with all the choices that society has for them today. They're going to have the responsibility for the first time, some of them, in 30 years. And they're going to have to be able to provide food, shelter. They're going to have transportation. They're going to have to maintain a job.
And you got the chaos of life.
You got the chaos of
It's
life.
crazy for us to say that, because I would look at prison and be like, all right, that's the chaos.
Yeah.
But like in visiting with these guys as much as I have, and you have too, Scott, like there really is a certain amount of chaos they do not have to deal with.
And we're not overselling prison. I always got to caveat that.
No, I don't want to go there. It's just, it's a stability that they have, that the world is going to offer something completely different. Different obstacles.
There's lots of scariness there. There's, the thing that the other chapter I asked him to help me write is tell me things about prison that most people wouldn't know.
Oh, you want to know what?
That was crazy.
All right, you know that stupid picture that Brian and Kellen put of me sitting on that toilet?
It's still one in the classroom.
I saw it.
So he, I can't, the rapper, what's his name? Well, we're not supposed to say names.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he comes up to me and he said, do you know why that picture matters to me? So just so you know what I'm referencing here on this video is that I'm sitting on this small little toilet. I was on a mission trip in Ohio, and we went into one of the bathrooms and it had a little kid's toilet. It's like really, really small. And so I'm sitting down on it. Me and Kellen are laughing.
Yeah.
All right. He's like, you're laughing, and I've lived my whole life in prison. He said, that is my recliner. That is where I sit every day.
Yeah.
That's a chair for me. And he's like, that's what all these guys, that's why they are so drawn to that picture, because to them that picture means something completely different. Now, me and Kellen, we're just laughing because it's weird. Yeah, we're in a moment. And he said that's why that picture matters so much to everybody, is because you're laughing. He said that's what that says to me. I would have never, ever
We don't
thought
understand. That guy was like, I was talking about, he was like, man, I can't wait till we get out of here and get some good nutrition. And I'm like, you can't get protein shakes in here? Like just cheap whey protein that just costs nothing? And
Unless you eat ketchup for lunch, bro.
That didn't need to be on the video. So what? And he was like, no, because they feel like we're gonna jack ourselves up on these things so we can fight all the officers in here or whatever. And I'm like, is that? See, my brain doesn't even go. If I give them protein, they don't have weights in there either. They don't have weights. Everything they do is calisthenics. So they can't bench with weights. They wrap up and tie up bricks to do curls with bricks.
Huh.
And
Some prisons have.
A couple of those guys had they had arms.
Well,
man.
the reality is that's going to be a lot of just a repetition with lighter weight because they don't have dumbbells and plates in there. But they wouldn't let them have a protein shake because they didn't want them to get too strong so they could beat people up. And I'm sitting there going, again, very similar to the toilet. My mind doesn't think that way at all.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective is everything. You know, those notes that when I ask them to talk about prison things we wouldn't know, and they're like, you know, the food's horrible. And they're like, the meat ought to come with a warning label that not for human consumption. And you know, you know, they can buy some things, and there's, you know, if they want to make their own meals, and I know some of those stories that the guys have made some pretty decent Thanksgiving meals and stuff. But you know, it's also, there's zero privacy. I mean, you've got a toilet in your cell, and you've got bunk bed, and if you need to use the toilet, it's wide out in the open. There's no door. There's no door on the toilets. You constantly are showering with all these other people. The strip searches, the random strip searches, they're like, all humility has to go right out the window because, you know, and they're doing that because people are bringing in drugs and they're doing other things and they're hiding in places that, you know, unfortunately somebody got to figure out. You know, so there's a freedom in prison. It's as bad as we imagine.
I still kind of want to follow you and back that statement up, please, because it's just a small thing that we don't realize. Because I feel stupid by saying that. There's a freedom in prison. No, there's not.
Yeah, no. I mean, but you
there
sense it
is.
in that room, and there is.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Like, they aren't ready for the real world's problems.